On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Arnold Schwarzenegger had some really nice things to say about Bruce Willis on his retirement. Also, Pixar's Elemental, right now it looks like it's going to be one of the worst critically reviewed films Pixar's ever done. We'll discuss that. Also, one of the stars of Netflix's Daredevil, Deborah Ann Woll, is saying that there are no plans for her to come back for the brand new Disney version of Daredevil. Obi-Wan Kenobi director is saying that there could actually be a season 2 of that show. John Wick Chapter 4 has bumped the Mario Brothers out of the #1 spot on the digital charts. That and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our little studio. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and this show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Mint Mobile. And it is such an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined here in studio, of course, by Ray Ora.
Hello.
By Jonathan
Hello,
Boyko.
everybody.
Chris Carr is here.
Hey, guys.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for checking out our show and making it part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We break it down into 2 parts. In the first part of the show, we're going to talk about those predetermined topics that we mentioned. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take the questions sent in to us by our YouTube channel members. We have a YouTube channel, and we have channel members on our YouTube channel. And we ask them every day if they have any questions or topics they'd like brought up. And we get through as many of those as we possibly can. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you go over to our YouTube channel, become a member. That would be spiffy. That's been a long time since I used the word spiffy.
Spiffy's a great word.
I regretted it, though, the moment I said it. I don't think I said it with the right veritas.
What
Anyway,
do you
guys,
know?
we do have a lot of stuff to talk about here today, so let's start off with this one here. Now, of course, we know that Bruce Willis, for those of you maybe didn't know, he was diagnosed with a condition called aphasia, which is a brain condition that affects their ability to have cognitive skills and communicate properly. And as a result, Bruce Willis and his family announced that he was going to be retiring from the entertainment industry. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, one of the greatest action icons of all time, of which Bruce Willis is one of those as well, was doing press for his new show, Fubar. And he was asked if he had any comments about Bruce Willis, who, of course, Schwarzenegger has worked with on Expendables, and they were partners in some business ventures and all that kind of stuff. Schwarzenegger was asked if he had any comments about Bruce Willis's retirement, and he said the following. He said this: I think that he's fantastic, and I'm not going to do it in the Schwarzenegger voice. I think he's fantastic, Schwarzenegger said about Willis. He was always, for years and years, and he is a huge, huge star. And I think that he will always be remembered as a great, great star and a kind man. I understand that under his circumstances, health-wise, that he had to retire. But in general, you know, we never really retire. Action heroes, they reload. I love that part again. You know, we never really retire. Action heroes, they reload. I love that. Now, of course, Bruce Willis is not going to come back and continue his career. But, you know, I think it's been a little while since they announced Willis's retirement. And, you know, the other day, Die Hard 2 was on one of the television networks. And you just forget he had all the ingredients of what made an 80s action star what they were, right? He had charisma for days. That was the number one thing that you needed to be a big action star. And that's the kind of stuff that Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Bruce Willis had, was just this great on-screen charisma, particularly Schwarzenegger. He was kind of the king of that. And he could bring that sort of weight, the gravitas. He could bring all that, Willis could, to those roles. And it's really neat when you get to the end of your career, and this is true of athletes or anything else as well. You get to the end of your career, and it's your peers who have the best things to say about you. And to have who some people would consider to be the greatest action star of all time in Arnold Schwarzenegger come out and say, you were always a huge star, a kind man, and you will always be remembered as one of the greats. I mean, I don't think there's anything anybody could say to top that. that he says about it. Anyway, Chris, you hear the comments that Schwarzenegger had to say about Willis, and any more reflections on the retirement of Willis and what Arnold had to say?
There's no way anyone could top this. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Good luck following that up. Yeah.
Arnold's being a class act here. What a wonderful, wonderful thing to say. I think that's just lovely. And it's really, really nice too during this time, because aphasia is just a cruel disease. It really, really is, because it just robs you of so much of your own agency. And to have somebody focus on celebrating all that Bruce has done is really, really lovely, especially one of his contemporaries. That's really, really great. And Bruce Willis is always going to be such an icon. And if you have any doubts of him earning his place in Hollywood, I urge you to go check out his screen test for Moonlighting. It is so interesting. And it's such a testament, too, just to how acting works, where there's no wrong choices, right? But there's just sometimes where an actor is just so perfect for a role and you have to see him do it. Because you've got, I believe it was David Addison who was up for the role, who plays it much more straightforward and rushed and everything. And Bruce Willis is just like hitting on his scene partner and really, really charming and suave. And you go, oh, yeah, that's the guy. Right. I believe that he could be an action star, but also I believe that he could, woo somebody and charm them. And that's another way that this guy could get information out of people. And he did that in so many of his roles where, yeah, he's this tough guy, but you'd see these really beautiful, soft moments as well where he was compassionate, or you'd see how much he cared about his wife or his kids or things like that throughout his films. So it's really, really lovely for Arnold to just chime in on that. And I love that reload line. It's so good.
Yeah, we don't retire, we reload. I love that line. To your point, too, when Willis wasn't just the action star. You look back at something like Sixth Sense, where subtlety had to become a part of it, right? Nuance had to become a part of it. And he wasn't just an action star. When he was on his game, he was a legit leading man dramatic actor as well. He had those abilities. But, Jonathan, there's a lot of discussion whenever remakes and things like that come up. There are always people say, it'll ruin the original. And I've always made the argument a bad remake or whatever never ruins the original is there. But also it goes with legacies. Like, I think Bruce Willis's career proves that when you do something that is great, it can't be tarnished by whatever work you do. Because let's be honest, let's put our everything on the table here. The last number of years of Bruce Willis's career were not great.
I've dogged on those movies.
Yeah, I mean, let's not pretend that they were bad. But listen, after he announced his retirement, none of us thought about those movies. When you think about Bruce Willis, you think about his greats and his classics, and none of the stuff that he did afterwards that maybe wasn't up to par absolutely in any way tarnishes the way we think about those films. So, Jonathan, I'm just thinking, after hearing Schwarzenegger's comments, like when you think of Bruce Willis, what are the first things that come to your head?
Hudson Hawk.
I knew you were going to say Hudson Hawk. I knew it.
I don't know if I'm a Hudson Hawk apologist. I understand people's problems with it, but I don't care. I still love it. But I mean, of the three, I'd say those quintessential American 80s and 90s action stars, it was Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and of course, Sylvester Stallone. And actually, it's funny because you bring up Moonlighting. People did not think that Bruce Willis was fit for Die Hard.
For Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, Moonlighting.
The guy from that rom-com show?
Yeah,
it's like the Mr. Mom guy is going to be Batman?
Yeah, I mean, he was goofy. He was kind of soft around the edges.
80s were great.
And this proved the world wrong. And after that, it really changed. Like, I don't think people even thought about Moonlighting after Die Hard anymore because he had after Die Hard, because the franchise took him to new levels.
Well, to that point, it changed the idea of what the action hero needed to be, too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ray, when you think of Bruce Willis, do you have anything in particular, like a particular movie or memory?
The Kid.
The Kid's so good.
I love all of Bruce Willis's non-Bruce Willis movies, like The Kid, where he plays just a kind guy. Yeah? I grew up with him. Blind Date was my first exposure to him. So,
oh my God, I remember Blind Date. That was with Kim Basinger, right? Wasn't Blind Date with Kim Basinger?
Yeah.
I think it was. Anyway,
I'm gonna get killed for this, but I haven't seen any of the Die Hards.
Man, you should.
I told you, it's just not my genre or that type of movie, but I may go back and watch them. But that's it. The Kid. Look Who's Talking. His voice.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget about that. I think it's John Travolta, and I forget he's the voice.
And I think was he in The Last Boy Scout?
Oh yeah, I love the Last Boy Scout when he dances the little jig at the end. I love the Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, it's I wish him good health. Hopefully, I know it seems bleak, but like hopefully he can.
Always have hope.
Yeah,
Always have hope. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? So we made a video about this on the YouTube channel a little bit earlier, but I'm a big Pixar guy. I mean, for many years, I have said that Pixar is arguably not just the greatest animation studio, they are arguably the greatest movie studio, period. Because when you look at their win to loss ratio, I don't know that any studio has one that comes close to Pixar's winning percentage. Like, I don't think anybody comes close to it. And they've put out some great stuff and all that kind of stuff. Now, Lightyear was a movie that I saw the first act of it at CinemaCon last year, and I thought that it had best picture potential. And then I saw the rest of it. And yeah, let's just say I ended up being kind of disappointed.
It's not the worst, though, right?
No.
It's not the worst.
It might be the worst Pixar
or
film.
Pixar standards,
well,
I
no,
guess.
it might be
Cars.
still Cars, yeah.
Not planes?
Oh God, I forgot about Oh shit.
Wait, so was Planes ever actually in theaters, or was that a direct-to-home video
No,
thing?
plane. I think the first Planes was because we covered it with back in the AMC days, the red carpet.
Oh my God, that might have been the worst one too. Let's all forget about that one. I even like The Good Dinosaur. I know a lot of people trashing The Good Dinosaur.
Dinosaur's cute.
I like The Good Dinosaur. Not one of their better ones, but I liked it. But anyway, you got Elemental coming out. And I think the trailers looked wonderful. Like Lightyear, they showed us the first 15 minutes of it at CinemaCon this year. And it looks like a great romantic immigrant story that really captured my imagination, much like the way the first act of Lightyear captured my imagination. But it'll look great. I think the trailers will look good. But the reviews are now coming out of a festival. And granted, the last I checked, there was only like 11 reviews. But most of those reviews were by the major trades, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, The Times, things like that, right? Now, as of the time that I don't know what it is at this moment, at the time that we recorded it was 59%, which is one of the lower Pixar scores you can get. And even the ones that liked the movie were very qualified in their positive reviews. Like they would say things like, this is certainly not going to be on anybody's favorite Pixar list, but it has enough charm and blah, blah, blah. While this movie is fairly weak in the middle, it carries this, and this. So even the positive ones were like, hey, we like this movie, but it's not great. And then a number of them, like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, gave it negative reviews. And these are outlets that generally really like Pixar films. Now, that instantly makes me afraid that we're in for another Lightyear situation where the first act or the first bit of the film is really, really great, and then maybe it doesn't know what to do with that great start. Look, I'm still going to hold out hope that this is going to be great. I am not going to ditch just because a few critics, even though it's critics who usually like Pixar stuff, didn't like it. But I'm not going to lie, it makes me nervous. It makes me kind of nervous. Anyway, Chris, what's your anticipation level been like, or what have you been expecting this Elemental to be? Have you been excited about it? Maybe you haven't been. I don't know. What do you think?
I have been, but now I'm bummed out because I'm hoping this isn't some kind of pattern with Pixar and the CinemaCon sneak peeks. Because
Yeah.
I'm with Ray. I don't think Buzz Lightyear was as bad as people made it out to be. I didn't love the third act, and that kind of twist was, oh yeah, okay, obviously that's going to happen, and I don't really enjoy this.
Yeah.
But I thought Lightyear was fine. That first 30 minutes, though, oh my gosh,
Are
I cried
amazing.
so much. It's
The
so good,
first half hour is
so wonderful.
crazy good.
So I'm hoping that's not the case here with Elemental because I really enjoyed this. The world building they did in those first 15 minutes was so incredible of just seeing how this world works, how these different elemental communities exist, the tie-in to this immigration story, this what looks like is going to be a love story seems so sweet. I love all of the different elemental jokes we got to see in it too. So I'm hoping it's not just this kind of one note, falls flat on its face situation. But, I've been burned before.
Oh, nice pun.
Thank you.
I didn't even get it. I just went,
I gotta say that with Lightyear, we gotta remember it was following up Turning Red, which got a 95%. Before
Yeah.
that was a 91%.
And should have been in theaters.
And all that. For me, like, of course, hearing the review sucks, but if I'm set on watching a movie, I'm gonna go and judge it myself.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. If I like it, that's all important, right? That's all that's important to me.
Sure,
So,
but you got to admit though, like, that if you're set on watching a movie, you should go see it regardless of what.
definitely.
But you have to admit that. Well, I'm of course still going to watch it. You got to admit it. It does impact your expectations, though,
but
right?
at the same time, I've never been the biggest Pixar guy. I don't watch every single
That's
Pixar.
true. Yeah, you just watched Ratatouille for the first time.
Yeah.
recently.
My favorite's Wall-E, obviously. Will always be Wall-E, just because he's a robot. But, I'm going to see this because I like what I saw, and I'm going to see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What about you, Jonathan?
I wonder because I understand it's all, an analogy, but the whole time I'm watching the trailer, it's like, so the fire people just eat like fire things for themselves and the water people just eat water. Like I was taking it a little too literal, but at the same time, some of the complaints are it's nonsensical. I wonder if
That's the part that worries me.
Like
is the types of criticisms.
like
they
this
have.
doesn't really make sense. I don't understand. I don't believe this world would exist outside of an analogy.
okay.
So, that kind of bothered me in the trailer. But at the same time, I get what they're going for, so I can overlook that. But if plot lines really make you, I mean, they say it. They show it in the trailer. Like they water goes through a fence, she burns through a fence, and he's like, "Why do we even have these?" It's like, well, why do you have anything? It doesn't really make sense.
But it is. I like that they pointed out.
But I still like it. Yeah.
Remember my biggest worry? Well, my very first thing I said after we got out of the CinemaCon thing was, I don't see how these two have any chemistry. Like they like, of course that's supposed to be it, right?
Right.
They're not.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. You could sometimes sometimes sense that these two are gonna be together. There's something there. What I saw, I was like, I have no idea how these two are gonna be together.
and
I
at
hope
the
that
heart of it,
doesn't
your
last.
movie's a rom-com. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, again, listen, I got to re-emphasize here. It's a very limited number
Right.
of reviews that have come out. It's just that it's concerning to me because they were the bigger outlets, and they're outlets that normally kind of like Pixar films. So that makes me a little bit concerned, but we'll see. All right, hey guys, listen, we got more to cover here, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at ExpressVPN. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, it is 2023, and online privacy and security has never been more important. You see, every device, phones, computers, tablets, has a unique IP address, which is like an internet phone number and reveals personal information about you. It's super simple for somebody online who knows what they're doing to find your IP address if you've ever clicked on a sketchy link or opened an email from somebody you don't know. Your IP address could become exposed. Now that's where ExpressVPN has your back. ExpressVPN is an app that hides your real IP address and replaces it with a dummy one, keeping you safe and private. And you don't have to be some kind of techie to use a VPN. Guys, it is so easy to use. Just download the ExpressVPN app on your phone or computer, tap one button to turn it on, and you're protected. And if you like your streaming entertainment, here's the coolest part. They let you choose what country you want your IP address to look like it's coming from. This is incredibly useful because services like Netflix and Disney Plus give you different shows depending on what country you're in. So secure your family's online activity and unlock tons of new shows by visiting expressvpn.com/Campea. Use my link and you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. And thank you to our friends at ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this one here, shall we? This is another one we did a video about on the YouTube channel earlier because it's really rather interesting. So we got Daredevil, right? I think it's safe to call it the most popular of the Netflix Marvel shows. Now we had Daredevil, Punisher, which was also really good. You had Jessica Jones, you had Iron Fist, you had Luke Cage, you had The Defenders. And to be honest with you, I think whenever we look back at the Marvel Netflix shows, I think we look at them with rose-colored glasses because in reality, it was kind of hit and miss. Like whereas Daredevil and Punisher were both great, a lot of people liked Jessica Jones. I did not.
Loved it.
Iron Fist, the first half of the first season with Mahershala Ali and Cottonmouth, fantastic.
Oh, you mean Luke Cage?
Luke Cage.
What did I say?
Iron Fist.
Oh, sorry, Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I said that.
The first half of Iron Fist was not
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, it wasn't any better than the second half.
No.
But the moment Mahershala Ali left the show and Cottonmouth
Yeah.
left the show, I felt like it really took a nosedive.
I did too.
Same kind of
that
situation
Michael
with Jessica
Colton-
Jones.
It's Mike Colton, right? That was the guy who played Luke Cage.
Coulter.
Coulter, sorry. Coulter was great. I love Mike Coulter.
amazing.
One of the most stupidly handsome men on the planet. He's great, but it took a bit of a nosedive, and I didn't think season 2 was very good. Iron Fist, was Iron Fist. We don't need to have any more discussion about
Colleen
that.
Wing was good.
Yeah,
She's great. If we could have had that show.
She's great. I even liked her in the new Matrix movie, and I liked almost nothing about the new Matrix movie.
It was great.
It was great.
What are you talking
It
about?
was so bad. Like when the Merovingians showed up.
Oh,
it was
come
like,
on. Don't go on a tangent.
Anyway, okay, won't get sidetracked here. But, one of the things that's been concerning a lot of people has been like whether or not we're going to see Karen and Foggy back. Because a number of months ago, Deborah Ann Woll, who plays Karen in it, said she hadn't heard anything yet about whether she would be appearing in the new Disney Daredevil. Then the Hollywood Reporter, a little while after that, still a few months ago, put out a story that Karen and Foggy and Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll are not expected to be in it. But I think a lot of fans still really held on that no, they're going to be there.
I did.
They're going to be there.
I didn't.
Well, they are now shooting Daredevil. And Deborah Ann Woll was at a comic convention here recently. And she was asked about the thing. And I won't read the quote, but basically she said, no plans for me to return. There are no plans for me to return. Now, she doesn't mention Foggy or Eldon Henson, but I think it's considering the old Hollywood Reporter report named the two of them together, I think it stands to reason that. Okay, so there's a couple of different issues at hand here with this being brought up. The one issue, which is the ongoing question, it's been brought up 1,000 times, but it's always evolving with new information, is that the old debate about, is this the same Daredevil from the Netflix series? Or is this a Daredevil that's practically the same as the one from the Netflix series? I've always believed that I think Charlie Cox has said it pretty clearly that this is not the exact same Daredevil as the one from Netflix, but rather exactly the same. So very, very much same like, but not the same. Then they announced that they recasted it. They've got a new Vanessa character coming in. Now we know Foggy's not going to be there. Now we know Karen's not going to be there. No plans for them to come back. To me, I think the evidence continues to mount that this is not the exact same Daredevil as from the Netflix series, but whatever. The bigger issue, I think, is going to be for a lot of fans of the original Netflix series that, listen, they love Deborah Ann Woll. They really loved it. And Karen became a pretty important character in that show. It's hard to imagine a Daredevil without a Foggy. It's like trying to think of a Batman without an Alfred. So it's kind of weird that way. At any rate, Chris, you heard the comments that she made about this. Does this put a nail in it? Like the show's already shooting and she's saying there are no plans for me to return. I know there's doubting what the actors say at some point, but I got to say at this point, I think it's pretty definitive. I don't know. How do you interpret it?
I feel like it means she's not going to be there. And that also could mean she's not there for this season.
Yeah.
Maybe we have Karen show up again. And I also don't know if it means Foggy's not coming back for sure either.
Or is it just they're going to recast Foggy?
They might recast everyone since we do have a new Vanessa here. That does bum me out because I loved that trio's dynamic so much. I love the avocados at law. I think they're wonderful.
And the show, the season 3, the finale ended with the 3 of them in the diner.
Yes.
It's going to be hard
I really want more of that. I love them. One year for Halloween, I was Jessica Jones, Logan was Matt Murdock, and Gimli was an avocado, so he could be our avocado at law. I adore those 3, and I really, really wanted more of them in this. So it does bum me out, especially because the rest of the cast really rallied behind Deborah too. When she would talk about how great Vincent D'Onofrio was in the show, he would retweet about how none of it was possible without her dynamic in there.
Right.
They all just were constantly lifting each other up. And when you're in a movie or a TV show or a play, it's a lot like summer camp where, you form really fast bonds and you really, really connect, but then you go hang out with other people afterwards. So I'm sure they'll be able to have some magic with a new cast and everything. It just really felt like they kind of got lightning in a bottle with these guys.
Ray, do you think, Do you think they will return, or do you think, like I think, that this is pretty much puts a nail in it, that we're not going to see her or Eldon back?
I think I put a nail in it a long time ago. I just didn't want to
Yeah.
say so because I didn't really watch the after season 1, Daredevil after season 1. I only seen the first season. What do you think about the She-Hulk version of Daredevil? Is that the Daredevil we're going to get where he's jumping?
That's the
Yeah,
Daredevil
that's
we're
the
going to
Daredevil
get.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that was one of the few really redeeming things about She-Hulk season 1 was I thought Matt was great in that. I really liked him in there.
Do you still see these characters with that new Daredevil? I know he just exposed like better super jumping or whatever he was doing in that show. But
Well, yeah, he jumped off. Like
other
a 2
than
or 3
that,
story
like,
building.
did you see anything in his personality when he interacted with She-Hulk?
I think he's acted very much the same. Like a lot of people will point to the humor, but I'm like, I think Christy and I talked about this before. When you go back to Daredevil, Matt had a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. I mean, there were a lot of laughs in the Daredevil series on Netflix.
There were,
It
and
was
in
just
the
balanced out with
comics,
some
he
dark
can.
stuff.
Sometimes he's an absolute goofball.
Yeah.
A lot of times too, when there's rumors about him being Daredevil, he wears shirts that says "I'm Daredevil" and stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, the blind guy's Daredevil, guys. Okay." I mean, he really, really has a great sense of humor. So, a lot of the fears of him being too goofy, I think, are a little overblown.
Jonathan, are they actually going to come back? Is this all a misdirect like like some other things have been?
It could be a quasi misdirect. Was it debunked that this takes place during the snap?
No, not so.
So
Just so people know what Jonathan's talking about, there was a set photo that came out that was taken on set of them shooting Daredevil, the new season on Disney Plus, and Matt is walking by a church, and there's a church sign with the name of a sermon, and there's a date on it, and the date falls within when the snap was happening. Now, that might mean it's actually taking place then, but I go by a lot of churches that have out-of-date things on the wall, so I don't know if that means anything or not.
yeah. So the theory could be they're snapped. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
why we
that
don't
they
see
just
them.
could be snapped and not there, and
Yeah.
maybe to Chris's point, maybe then brought back later. I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of things that really disappoint me, the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus. Now, don't get me wrong. I did not hate the series. As a matter of fact, there are several things about the Obi-Wan series I really liked. I thought the first episode was great. I thought the ultimate confrontation, the final big battle between Obi-Wan and Vader, is one of the best things I've ever seen in Star Wars. I don't think it was just great for that show. I think it was one of the best things I've ever seen in Star Wars. That lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Vader at the end. It's unfortunate that a lot of people had kind of signed out of the show already by that point, but that was a great fight with drama. Again, I always say that action without narrative purpose is just visual noise, but that action sequence was steeped in drama and steeped in their story together. And I thought it was wonderful. But overall, the show, I think, was flat and was a disappointment. So much so that, somebody, and I forget the name of the guy that did, and I feel bad because I know they listened to our show. Somebody did an edit of the Obi-Wan series, edited it down to just like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, moved some things around, added a couple of little things, changed the order of some of the sequences. And I'll tell you what, that Obi-Wan movie was great, like so much better than the show. Anyway, the director of the series, Deborah Chow, was just asked about the possibility of a season 2. And she said a couple of interesting things. The first thing she said was that it was always the plan for Obi-Wan to just be a 6-part limited series. It was always meant to be, she said, a one-shot story, which is interesting to me because you'd think Obi-Wan, that's something you can franchise. But then later she said that there is still 10 years left between where we left off with Obi-Wan season 1 and the beginning of Star Wars A New Hope. So there's a lot of room there to still tell a story, so a season 2 is possible. Which is also surprising to me because after season 1, is anybody asking for a season 2? Now listen,
Ian McGregor.
a lot of people watched season 1. A lot of people watched it. It had good ratings because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? So people watch it. So number one, I was surprised to hear that it was intended to be a 1-season thing. Number two, I'm a little bit surprised hearing they're talking about doing season 2. I think there will be a season 2 just because the numbers were so big. because the numbers were big, I think, and I'll tell you what else. Because I saw redeemable qualities in season 1, I think there's an argument to be made that if you just adjust a couple of things and you lean into the strengths of the show and you learn your lessons from what did this, like this, it's not like Obi-Wan season 1 was a show that nothing worked, right? There were glimpses in there of what that show could be. And that edited movie version that a fan did really makes those stand out. So it's good. You may be surprised to hear me say this, but I would be down for an Obi-Wan season 2 if they were to do it and if they were to learn lessons. So I don't know. Chris, you heard Deborah Chow's comments here. What, if anything, of her comments surprised you? And do you think we will end up getting an Obi-Wan season 2?
I mean, that more people could want this, because in my mind, it's just Deborah Chow, Ewan McGregor, and my husband. Who are like, give me more Obi-Wan. He loves Obi-Wan.
Oh,
he loves it so much. Logan loves everything. Logan just he gets so excited that there's content.
He loves you.
Just wait till they find out.
Standards are pretty low, John. The standards are pretty low.
Wow.
Just wait till they find out Helen Mirren's in season 2 of
Oh my
Obi-Wan.
gosh! If Helen Mirren's
I'll put Helen Mirren in
in
season 2.
I'll never see him again.
Yeah.
He'll just be like, I'll be in my bunk. That'll be great.
That is one of the great lines from Serenity,
It's
by
so
the way.
good. It's
Such
so
a good
good.
line.
I was like, you have bunk beds? Is it that?
I'm that much of a cartoon character. We have bunk beds at home.
That's so much room for activity.
So much room for
I
activities.
can't believe, John, you didn't mention Baby Leia.
Baby Leia was great.
That was another redeemable thing about the show. I really did enjoy her in the role.
If we find a way to make the story mean something, then I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Because putting Baby Leia in danger didn't do it for me, because I know how she's going to be. Putting Baby Luke in danger
Right.
isn't going to do it for me, because I know he's going to be. Oh no, is that Sith going to get Luke? No, of fucking course not.
Why?
Because of the other movies, Jonathan.
Oh.
There were just so many things that happened where I went, why are we exploring this? We know the outcome of this. I would love to have more of an existential look at how Obi-Wan is going through all these things. He let down an entire empire, right? He lost all his fellow Jedi. He's living on this horrible desert planet to protect a baby because his mom died from heartache.
We think she died.
We
There's
think
a
she died. She
possibility.
could be back.
Yeah.
But we had glimpses of that in those first 2 episodes, of seeing all this doubt and regret and everything. And that was peppered in throughout the series too. But we focused on so many things that just were useless, in my opinion. So I would really need an amazing story, an amazing character study to make sense of a season 2.
Jonathan, is there going to be a season 2?
Number one, I just want to address, I learned with much regret, I could have been sneaking my kids into the movie theaters under my coat. Because he got Leia.
I couldn't, when that scene was happening, I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it.
In season
busy,
2, they're
right?
going to Muppet Man. It's
Yeah,
going to
they
be
should have
Leia on his
Muppet Manned her.
shoulders.
You know what I flashback for me to? As a little kid, my parents would show me reruns of The Little Rascals. And I think that's all I could think about was The Little Rascals when they pulled
And I mean,
that.
look, you mentioned that fight, but then they went and intercut it with Reva McEntire looking through crates and down hallways, and then cutting back to
McIntyre.
and
Get
then
out.
going back to an amazing fight, and then cutting back to her intercutting of her like looking for young Leia, kind of just spoiled it. A season 2, man, it better have a new showrunner because I lost my patience.
All I want now is someone to edit the Reba theme song
No.
over that. So it's just her tearing stuff up with a single mom who works too hard.
Yeah.
From McIntyre. All right.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's go.
All right, let's get on to one last thing here, shall we? John Wick, Chapter 4, broke the records for the biggest movie of the franchise. And listen, John Wick is one of those franchises that does the very difficult thing. Every single movie went up in box office and up in critic score. I can't think of another franchise that's over 3 movies long that did that, where both the categories of critic score and box office all went up every single time a new movie came out. Crazy. But the reality is that the newest John Wick Chapter 4 still only made $427 million, the biggest in the franchise so far, and that's a good amount of money. But when you compare it to something like Mario Brothers, that made $1.27 billion, almost $1.3 billion at the box office, Mario Brothers literally made triple what John Wick Chapter 4 did. So you would think that when they both come out digitally, that Mario Brothers would wipe the floor with John Wick Chapter 4. Not the case. According to the reports that have come out, Mario Brothers came out first and enjoyed 1 week at the top of the iTunes, Google, Vudu charts for digital streaming. 1 week later, John Wick Chapter 4 comes out and knocked it out of the #1 spot in all those charts.
Kids love John Wick.
The kiddies are loving John
Clearly,
Wick.
the data shows.
Yeah.
This can't be true. Both of them had $100 million budget. Both movies.
I can't believe that Mario Brothers had $100 million budget.
I'll look it up.
It had to be more than
Super
that.
Mario Brothers budget. 100.
Not with that vocal cast.
I don't know that I buy that.
okay.
I don't know that I believe that. I mean, I'm not definitively telling you it's not true, but I'm just saying I have a hard time believing that. But they've always kept the John Wick budgets very reasonable because, again, it's Lionsgate. It's not a massive, massive company like, a Warner Brothers or anything like that. So John Wick Chapter 4 makes its debut on the digital charts, takes #1 spot away from Mario Brothers on the Google Play charts, takes the #1 spot away from Mario Brothers on the iTunes chart, and takes away the #1 spot on Vudu. And the Vudu one is interesting because whereas iTunes and Google Play, they measure the #1 spot by how many purchases, downloads, and everything it has. Vudu does it by dollar value. And the Super Mario Brothers movie is $10 more than the John Wick Chapter 4 movie is. And John Wick Chapter 4 still made more money than Super Mario Brothers did on the Vudu charts.
Damn.
Despite the fact that it's $30 and John Wick Chapter, on some of this purchases with $30, for rent it's $25, whereas John Wick Chapter 4 is to watch it and rent it is $19.99. So, I mean, this is interesting to me. You had two movies that in theaters, one literally triple the people saw. Now, the only explanation I have in my head for this, and Chris, you weren't here when we talked about this earlier today on the YouTube channel. The only explanation I can think of for this is, well, at $1.3 billion, that means everybody saw Mario Brothers. At $427 million, that means there are still a lot of people who didn't see John Wick yet. And maybe, with so many people who hadn't seen John Wick, comes out on video, they watch it. Whereas Mario Brothers comes out, and except for those people who have kids and they want to show it to their kids over and over and over again, they think, oh, I just saw Mario Brothers. I don't need to buy it right now. I don't need to rent it right now. I don't know that that's the answer. I'm just saying that's the only one I can come up with in my head. What was your reaction to seeing this result on the home video charts, and what would you attribute these results to?
I mean, it's kind of bananas. But then listening to you talk about that just now, we went to watch Mario on our TV the other night. We went, oh, it's streaming now. And then it was, oh, it's $30.
Yeah.
I have a Regal Movie Pass, and Super Mario is still playing at my Regal Movie Theater. So I can just take my butt to the movies and go see it and not spend $30.
In a better format.
Whereas John Wick is not playing at my theater anymore. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it as far as
I think
repeat
that
views.
price. I think that rental price and the purchase price was prohibitive.
Yeah,
For
$30
streaming,
is a lot.
That if you really want to get it, you'd get it on Ultra HD. Then, if you want that, if you're going to buy it,
Yeah.
Otherwise, wait for it to stream for free.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And John Wick is 3 hours too. I mean, you could get comfortable in your house. There's a lot of people who set up their home theater during the pandemic, got the best Dolby speakers, whatever.
Yeah.
What movie would you show off with that sort of equipment? John Wick is
John Wick's a good one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The sound on that is crazy. I'm looking at Variety. It appears to be $100 million budget on Mario Brothers.
That's what they say, $100 million.
Dang.
That means they made a whooping.
Good job, Mario.
And John Wick
are you sure
was
that's not a marketing budget?
No, it says
Yeah, that's
carries a
Variety.
production budget of $100 million, which is economical for an animated film.
Damn right it is.
Yeah.
That's...
It was
I never would have believed it.
Yeah, and
I
John
never
Wick
would
too,
believe it.
$100 million budget.
John Wick, I get,
makes more sense
because
to
they
me.
keep those budgets slow. So
That's great. That's great for both of them.
that is wonderful for both of them. So, I mean, yeah, it just comes down to, because when you think about it, like, yeah, the cost is a bit prohibitive, but at the end of the day, the Mario Brothers movie for renting was only $5 more than the John Wick one, right? Like it's not like John Wick was $4.99 and Mario Brothers was $25. Like John Wick is still $19.99, still $20.
Yeah.
So
That $5 I can put towards my Apple TV subscription.
I mean, that's true. That gets you your whole Apple TV to watch more Ted Lasso.
Exactly.
Let's go around. If you had the choice to watch a movie like later this afternoon, John Wick or Mario Brothers, I would pick John Wick because I want to see it again.
John Wick was the better movie.
Yeah, I want to see it again. I mean, and nothing against Mario Brothers, but there's a lot I missed because it was so long that I do want to see it again.
You
Well,
take
the other
naps.
thing too is like Mario. I've always contended that Mario Brother. I enjoy Mario Brother. I had a lot of fun watching that movie. It's not great. Like there are a lot of animated films I think are better. Like it's not great, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. But
It's
like
fun.
John Wick is great. I mean, I would watch John Wick in a second. Jonathan, what about you?
Hudson Hawk. Oh, yeah, John Wick. John Wick for sure.
Chris?
John Wick.
Well, there you go around the table, guys. I don't know. What do you think? I'd love to hear some of you guys and your thoughts about that. About like, why do you think John Wick Chapter 4 did so much better when Mario Brothers like kicked its ass in theaters? I don't know. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. All right, guys, listen, with that down, we're now going to go over and take the questions that our YouTube channel members, and we would love for you to become a YouTube channel member as well, but the questions that our YouTube channel members have sent in, we'll get through as many as we can there. But first, before we do, we're going to take just a moment here and thank a couple more sponsors of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Rocket Money and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and, of course, Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Listen, guys, if you go out and check out our sponsors and support them, you're actually supporting us. So make sure you go down to the description of this video and you'll find links and promo codes to today's sponsors. And thank you again to Rocket Money and Mint Mobile. All right, guys. With that all down, let's now get over and start taking those questions that our YouTube channel members have sent in. We'll get through as many as we can here. So, Chris, what do we got up here first?
From Ulatan, what do you think of the Heat beating the Celtics last night? Celtics last night. Sorry, I went very Irish. Going from the play-in to beat out the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the conference is amazing.
Listen, I'll tell you what. After Game 6, going into Game 6, because Miami had a 3-0 lead, and then they lost 2 games in a row. And going into Game 6, I said, if Miami loses this game, it's done. They're never going to recover. And they lost Game 6. All of a sudden, they let Boston win 3 games in a row. And I was stunned when I turned on the game a little bit late and saw that Miami was winning. And I mean, good for them. They are the number 8 seed. You guys understand the drama of this. They barely got into the playoffs. They had to do a play-in game to even get the number 8 seed. They got the 8th seed and had to play the number 1 ranked Milwaukee Bucks, knocked them out. Then I think they beat the Knicks in the second round, and the Knicks were favored. Then they went up against one of the prohibitive favorites to win the NBA title this year in the Celtics, who a lot of sports guys picked to sweep the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat win in 7. And now we've got the number 1 seed in the East against the last place seed in the West.
Something about
going to the
Butler,
NBA thing. It's a great story.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. All right, what's next?
From Red One Real Talk. Hi, John. I'm wondering what you think are some of the factors that led to a film like Fast 10 having a budget that exceeds $300 million. Is it having a lot of talent that demands certain salaries, a bigger demand for VFX, equipment, filming in different locations, or something else entirely?
All the above. I mean, first of all, one of the reasons some popular TV shows sometimes get canceled is because as seasons progress, the cast demand more and more and more money, which of course you do. If you are in a place that you can demand more money, that's what you do. I don't blame the actors for that, but there's that. But I mean, yeah, Vin commands a very big paycheck for himself. And then for his family, he advocates getting big paychecks for them. And listen, the franchise has traditionally made a lot of money. So I have no beef with that. But when they shoot in like, every movie shoots in like, or lately shoots in like 5 or 6 different countries. And they're doing all this kind of stuff and the length of the movies get long. And I mean, look, I look at that movie, I do not see $340 million. Like when literally Avengers Endgame was made for $100 million less than that. I don't get it. I just don't get it. All right.
Universal.
Yeah, but I think it's a little bit of all those things. All right, what's next?
From the Wookiee. Hey, John and crew, have you seen the last episode of Succession? Definitely one of my favorite shows of all time. Fantastic ending.
No. Ann and I got up to episode 4 of the new season, and then we got busy. So last night, we had some time, and we sat down and we watched 3 episodes. So we're hoping to get caught up tonight, or at least more caught up. Hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll get up to the series finale. But listen, this show is one of the most excellent shows ever made. I think this show may end up going down on a lot of top 10 best shows of all time lists for a lot of people. It was short. The performances are incredible. The drama is great. Yeah, I love this show. It's fantastic. All right, what's next?
From Alan S. Hi, John and crew. I saw you mentioned that you might try out MoviePass when it comes back. Are there any different movie theaters that you're looking forward to checking out? I hope one of those movie theaters has some good popcorn.
Well, they got to be better than AMC's popcorn. I mean, it can't be worse. It can't be worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like AMC's popcorn is garbage. I still eat it every time I go.
I was going to say.
Well,
I don't have any other
garbage
choice.
level then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's above
top of
garbage
the
level. But
sea
every
level.
movie theater has better popcorn. Yeah, listen, we talked about this on the show the other day. The MoviePass thing, and Chris, I can't remember if you were here when we talked about this. We talked about it on the
coming
YouTube
back,
channel.
yeah.
But the new MoviePass, which is of course totally different owners than when they ran it into the ground, their new thing is really interesting. You can get a $10 a month, $20, $30, or $40 a month plan, and that gets you certain points. And every movie you go see has a different amount of points that it costs. But if you get a $10 plan, you're guaranteed at least 1 movie a month. If you get a $20 plan, you're guaranteed 3, up to 7, depending on where you go. And the interesting thing is, any unused points you have carry over, which is a really neat thing. That is not something Regal does. That is not something AMC A-List does. And yeah, I think I'm going to check it out. I think I'm going to get the card, and I'm going to try visiting a couple of the other movie theaters around me that I never visit because I have AMC A-List.
Yeah.
I get to go, I mean, after my $24 a month fee, I get to go to 12 movies a month for free. So I do want to check this out. I'm going to go to my local Regal more if Regal is covered by it, because in the press release, they specify it's good in 4,000 theaters and covers major things like AMC, Cinemark, blah, blah. But they didn't mention Regal. So I don't know if that was just an oversight or not.
Because probably not.
MoviePass worked with Regal before. But I want to check those out. I want to check out a lot of theaters with this thing.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Callum. Hey, crew. With a lot of shows ending recently, I would like to ask, what do you think is the best TV finale? I can't pick one, but my top 3 in no order would be The Wire, Parks and Rec, and Friends. You guys get me through my night shifts. Have a nice day.
Oh, thank you for that, Callum. Parks and Rec had a good series finale. It was like flash forward into the future and stuff like that. But still, it was fine. It was good. I liked it. Honestly, to me, and it's hard. Some of my favorite shows had terrible, terrible series finales. Seinfeld stands right up there as one of the worst. I honestly think the best series finale ever was Star Trek: The Next Generation, in a 2-part finale called All Good Things, and it brought the show full circle. It's tied directly into the very first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Bringing Q back and all that kind of stuff. And it's not just that it was a great episode of television, it's that it was a perfect ending for that show. And I think that's the best series finale I ever saw.
My most memorable, I don't think it's the best, was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. What they did at the end where they
I don't remember the finale of that.
Remember he walked around the set and like showed you like there's no, like they pretty much like
They broke the fourth wall.
They broke the fourth wall.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah.
But I will say, I'm going to reverse this question. I saw the first episode of Silo last night. I watched it.
So that's your favorite intro?
I cannot wait to see episode 2 tonight. I'm just going to watch it. It's good, man. If I understand what
I think Lost is one of my favorite first episodes. I go back to because I was thinking today, Journey's "Don't Stop Believing" came on, and I was thinking like, wow, you know what? As big of a song as this is, it inevitably brings me back to the closing scene of the finale of Sopranos in the diner, because that's playing on the jukebox, and I can't hear that song and not think of that scene of Sopranos
and a screen going black.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people have issues with those last few frames, but that series, that last season and that last episode of the series, I thought were great, and I love that scene in the diner with him and his family.
Yeah, and by the way, the showrunner of Sopranos in recent years has confirmed that yes, Tony got killed at the end,
which is tragic, right in front of his family.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was in the bathroom. Wasn't he in the bathroom?
No, he was in the booth with his family. They're like Tony, and he turns around.
I thought he was still standing in the bathroom.
Well, now I have to rewatch it.
Maybe I'm not remembering it right. I thought he went in the bathroom, and now I got to double check.
Yeah, because I thought they were all looking at their menus and everything. And
I thought the family was still out at the booth looking at their menus.
Okay, I'm going to rewatch it too.
Okay, I could be wrong about that. I got to double check that. All right, we only got time for a few more. What's next?
From Mike's Movie Madness. Hey, John and Co. Tech question. Thinking of getting a Stream Deck. Should I get the Mark II version or the classic version and save some money?
I get the classic one. The basic functionality is exactly the same, right? You assign a task to a button, you hit the button, and it triggers it. Now, there are some advantages with the two. I still have a couple of the first gen ones and a couple of the second gen ones. But really, save yourself some money, get the gen ones. And then if you get really advanced with it and then you want to try those extra features, believe me, once you start using a Stream Deck, you're going to want to add another one to it. Like Jonathan's got, you got 2 or 3 on your desk right now?
I have 2 of the Mark IIs.
What's the price difference between the two?
I'm not really sure.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the price is like. I've got 3 of them on my desk.
One hack is if you kind of need, like, let's say, it also depends on how many buttons you need.
Yeah.
But you can also do a page over option for the smaller one.
Even more.
And then you have unlimited pages. It's just that the Mark II, you have a larger page to work with.
Yeah.
So.
And well, remember, even the first generation has I think they have a 9-button one, a 15-button one, and a 30-button one, right? I have several 30-button ones, but there's also a second generation of the 30-button ones and whatnot. But yeah, I like, you're going to want more once you get one. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth. Have you guys seen the Outsiders movie? The book it's based on was one of my favorites to read in school growing up, and I had no idea till I got older how many famous celebs were in the movie, from Diane Lane to Patrick Swayze. It's currently on Max for anyone who wants to see it. I've never seen that movie.
Oh, really?
I've never seen it.
I watched it as a kid.
Okay. It's one of my friend's favorite movies.
Patrick Swayze was in there, I think Rob Lowe was in there.
There's a couple wooden moments in it. I'm not going to be like, it's the greatest movie and to be all nostalgic. Like, there's a few wooden acting moments in it, but overall, it's great.
Okay.
I just pulled up the cast list. I forgot about a couple of them. So Thomas C. Howell,
C. Thomas Howell.
C. Thomas Howell, I mean, Matt Dillon, Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Diane Lane, Leith Garrett, Tom Waits. It's a pretty
Dang.
stacked cast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a stacked one.
Tom Cruise's crooked teeth still because he didn't have braces
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
All right,
I didn't know it was a stacked cast back then.
not
though.
that.
From Ryan, any strike updates? Any compromises on either side yet? Thanks, John and crew.
Nothing yet.
Nope.
I honestly, I think the writers are waiting for the writers. I believe they get more leverage if the actors and the directors go on strike as well. So everything's really in a holding pattern until that happens. And I don't think it's avoidable at this point that I think the directors and the actors are going on strike next. So,
Yep.
I mean, hopefully cooler heads can prevail and everybody can find a compromise. Awesome. But I don't think we're going to get one anytime soon.
Not to mention that on the SAG, I'm kind of surprised you guys don't have like a voice acting kind of demand. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like because you mentioned this about
Yeah.
union dues and everything. I'm kind of
Well, they can't even
surprised.
get that figured out in their own union.
Yeah.
So they got
Exactly.
nothing they can do
That's
about
true.
it.
Exactly. Well, and one of the things that's been brought up too because of all this, a bunch of writers and things have been like, also, hey, voice actors and video game writers,
Yeah.
why aren't you guys getting residuals from the largest portion of the entertainment industry right now? Why isn't your union working for you to get those? And it was one of those light bulb moments of,
Like,
yeah, why am I not making money?
All right, what's next?
From Michael Gonzalez. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hyped are you for Secret Invasion?
8 for me.
Oh,
I'm pretty hyped because everyone's saying.
yeah,
you
but like
know.
cautiously optimistic.
But they've seen it, so what they're
Yeah.
saying.
I've read the whole thing.
I've only read one page.
And I've had somebody from Inside Disney show me some things as well that they were not supposed to show me. I think it's gonna be very well received.
I hope so.
I think it's gonna be very well received. It's really quite. Look, it's not Winter Soldier, but I think it has the potential. Maybe not WandaVision good, but it has potential to be one of the best things that Disney Plus has put up so far. But again, it's one thing to read. Listen, I remember back Clash of the Titans, the Liam Neeson Clash of the Titans one, right?
yeah.
I read the script before the movie came out, and I thought that movie was going to be awesome just from reading the script. And it's the same movie. It's the same movie, but there's a lot in translation between the page and the screen. So listen, the Secret Invasion script reads really well. So here's hoping they actually capture that well on screen.
Do we know
Yeah.
how many episodes this is?
Oh,
Secret?
yeah.
I think
it's-
6.
It's short.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I believe it's 6.
But they're hour long, right? They're not half.
I'm not sure.
All
Couldn't
right.
tell you. All right, what's next?
Yep. From Elizabeth Hirado. Hi, guys. Love the pod.
Thank you.
Any predictions for the series finale of Ted Lasso? I personally think Ted is leaving Richmond and heading back to America. Still want Nate to get a good kick in the ass, but that's not the Lasso way.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it is the series finale. We did a video about this on the YouTube channel earlier. Apple TV Plus put out their promo email, came to me, and they are specifically calling it in 4 different places. They never once said series finale. They said season 3 finale. Season finale, season finale, season finale, season finale. They never once said series finale, which leads me to speculate that somewhere in the 11th hour, they made a deal to get at least a season 4. Now, I don't know that that's 100% the case. I do think this season ends with Ted going back to the States, but probably comes back. Maybe comes back with his wife and son with him. I mean, I don't know. But I do not think this is the series finale
She's
anymore.
not his wife no more.
But could
There-
be again. Because remember, they showed that kind of coldness between her and the doctor as they're getting in the car and Ted was watching. He's like, Right? She kind of gave the doctor the cold shoulder a little bit as they're going away.
Yeah. I don't see him getting back together with Michelle, though.
I don't know.
Also, what a move to start seeing your marriage counselor after you separate. Ooh.
Oh.
Ick, Michelle.
I'm not gonna name. I shall change the names to protect the innocent. That hit very home to me because I had some friends,
I want my mug.
married couple, and they started seeing somebody for marriage therapy who was another friend of mine.
Uh huh.
Oh.
And the wife and the counselor started having an affair. Yeah, and eventually.
Sorry.
What are you clapping for?
I don't know.
Good.
It's getting so tense in here.
Man, I know it.
But no,
I know
real life up in Canada, yeah, the counselor who was all part of one big kind of circle of friends. The married couple started seeing the marriage counselor, even though part of our friend circle, and the wife and the counselor started having an affair while they were in marriage therapy.
So did it work?
Oh no,
okay.
Did not work out so well.
I feel like it's a gray area maybe because just legally, but I feel personally like you should lose your license.
Yeah.
Really? You think if a marriage counselor starts having an affair, they should lose their license?
But they don't.
I think they should lose their balls.
They should at least have it on the record. Like if people go to him, oh yeah, he's had an affair with like 3.
Yeah, there's a Yelp review for you. All right, we've got time for a couple more. What's
Life
next?
is crazy, baby.
From Sean Miner, what's your current excitement level for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
Can't be measured. The word in the English language hasn't been created for it.
I'm excited.
And it's Thursday. Thursday we're seeing it. Ray, you got to book your ticket.
Yeah. That's good, Jack.
Yeah, again, the word for the English language has not even been created for it. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
All right, Michael Preston here.
Michael Preston says, hey, John, I love your produced segments and your open forum mailbags and wanted to say thank you for all you've done through COVID and the tough times when I was homebound for a few months. You kept my spirits up, so thank you, and bring on the filthy.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Michael. Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what. Doing the show through COVID was rough because, I mean, imagine ESPN trying to broadcast every day when there was no sports. They were literally talking about Taiwanese ping pong challenges. Now, I love ping pong, as a matter of fact, but it's just like it was every day because not only were no movies playing, nothing was in production. All production was shut down. The movie theaters were shut down. And as we got going like from 1 month to 3 months to 6 months to 12 months, I mean, it became I even shut the show down for a little while. I think I shut it down for 6 weeks once, where like once a week I did an open mic or something like that. But we kept it going as much as we could, but those were some lean times.
And the one thing that keep us a little busy was we had the documentary.
Yeah, we had our
But even
documentary that we were working on.
Stretch so far.
Isn't it crazy how YouTube can sort of change things sometimes? Like I remember when I was really depressed about this girl I was dating and there was just a bad breakup. I found Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube.
Oh,
And
I love that show.
that just
That channel.
changed. You know, you find whatever you find on YouTube. Sometimes it changes like your moods, and it's great that we were that for him. Or you were that for him.
Yeah, it's the great thing about movies and the movie fan communities can be that. So that's me. Thank you for sharing that with us, man. And with that down, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you, everybody, for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to our YouTube channel members. Well, number one, just for being YouTube channel members, but for sending in those questions and giving us great, fun things to talk about here today. If you are listening to our podcast, don't forget we do have a YouTube channel where we put up videos every day, including a live question and answer stream that we do every day called Open Mic. So we hope you guys will join us for that. And that'll do us for now, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next installment of the John Campea Show podcast. So for Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico,
Hello.
Chris Carr,
Bye.
my name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.